Just waiting for it to go live. We're on air. Very good. Okay, so that's going to do. 1 second. One second here. Alright, got disconnected. I'll take that and forward like that now. So it's a mess. One second. Okay, there we go. Okay. Oops. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Anybody? Yes? Good. Okay. I'll take this confirmation. We are Megillah.base. Megillah 2. If I can just find a place here, we'll start. Yes. Okay. Tiny Rabbi Yerushalmi ben Kapora. We are 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down on base Amud Aleph. I think I have too many things open on my desktop because this is going rather slow. Let's close some stuff. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think it should be better now. Now, we're talking about from when a city has to be Mukav Choma in order, surrounded by wall, in order to be able to read the Megillah on Tesvav Adar as opposed to Yudal Adar, 15th and the 14th. So we had the Shita from the days of Yehoshua. That was the Shita which we had on Beis and Beis, right? Article 282, okay? And now we have the Shita that is from the days of Achashverosh. Omer le Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi said to Rabbi Yehuda, V'chim ma inyan Shushan habira lekan. Now, he's assuming that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is learning out from Shushan. In other words, the Shushan is what determines what's considered to be Mukav Choma, right? So, why does Shushan have to do with anything? Well, let's go further. It seems that it has a lot to do with it, right? In Mishushan Abira Lamed, if you're going from Shushan Abira, Me'ata, if that's the case, the Gilin Ephraim changed the next word from Bishushan, which means in Shushan, to Kishushan. It should be like Shushan Abira, right? Means to say it'll have to be like Shushan Abira exactly, says Gilin Ephraim, meaning it should have to be a capital city. It should have to be a seat of government in order to read on the 15th of Adar. Or, alternatively, perhaps the Gilin Ephraim suggests it should have to be a city in which they actually fought on Yudalid and rested on Tesvav. That they actually did the fighting and the resting as it was done in Shushan Abira. So those are the two alternatives. So that's the case. Again, in Shushan Abira Lamed Me'ato Kishushan Abira. And Gilin Ephraim also takes out the next one, which says Al, and says he has Kishushan Abira Yikru. And that makes more sense because then you can read it like as follows, the whole line. If you learn Shushan Abira, Me'ato Kishushan Abira Al Yikru. If it's like this, your city is like Shushan Abira, there you should be able to read the Megillah on the 15th. The Shachol almost, and all the other places, and he'll get Ephraim puts in the word he took out from the previous line into this line. The Shachol almost Al Yikru. Another place you shouldn't be able to read. Again, if the definition of the city which can read Tesvav is that it's something which is like Shushan Abira, why is the only quality that it has to be Mukav Choma, that's surrounded by wall? Maybe it has to have other qualities in common with Shushan Abira in order to be able to read on Tesvav. So Says the Gemara, Hatlosa Tanyan. We have three Tanoim in this case. Tanya Kamaisa, the first Tana holds Savar Meimar Mimos Yoshua ben Nun. He wants to say that the parameters from the days of Yoshua ben Nun. Tanya Raisa, another Tana, the one we just learned, Rabbi Shimon Korcha, Savar Meimar Mimos Hachashverosh. He wants to say the parameter is the days of Achashverosh. And finally, Tanya Chraina Savar Meimar. And there's another Tana who seems to be the Tana we just quoting. In other words, we didn't actually give him a name, but it's perhaps we will find out a name for him, which holds that it is Ir Mikom, right? And city, no matter what. Now, this is somewhat misleading because Ir Mikom sounds like any city should read on Tezvav. But the way the Mefarshim explained it is no. It means that every city reads on Yud Daled except for those who are literally like Shushan Abira. The ones which are precise like Shushan Abira, which means, as we said before, they were the capital cities, or the cities in which they fought on Yud Daled and rested Tezvav. Cities other than those are not going to read from the days of on Tezvav. Okay, Nitzein, we're going to try and identify this now. Nitzeis Omer. According to this, you want to say Rabbi Shua ben Korcha, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, Shneim Amru Davar Echad. Rabbi Yosef is the new Tana. He's the one we haven't seen previously. Yosef says that is the one which says it has to be literally similar to Shushan Abira, not just in that it has a war from the days of Achashverosh, but also that from the days of that it has the other parameters as well. So the way it goes is Rabbi Shimon they both said the same thing, meaning we went out from Shushan Abira. Ella, but Shezela Man Mitam Echad. One of them, which is Shezela Man Mitam Echad. One of them, which is Rabbi Shimon Korcha, that could be either one. Rabbi Shimon Korcha learned for one reason. The other learned for the other reason, meaning that one learned that it's only has to be similar to the parameter of Mukav Choma, and the other learned that it has to be similar to other parameters as well. But they both learn out from Rosh Hashanah as opposed to the time of Yoshua. Okay, and now it says here Vitani Kane. But the Vitani Kane sounds like it's going to go back. We also learned their Bryce or something similar to what we just learned, and that is not the case here. The Vitani Kane here is something new. So therefore, the Ridbaz, based on the Gra, changed it to just Tani, which was like in the Bryce in the Bavli would say Tanya because it's a new statement. Doesn't go back to the previous statement. Has some and have become obvious from what we see. Has samach lekrach. That which is next, adjacent to a city, which reads on Tezvav, Vanirimo, and that which is seen as together with the city, Hareu Kayotzibo. It's similar, meaning that it has the same parameters of reading on Tezvav. Rabbi Ivo Barnaga B'Shem Rabbi Chir Baba Kigon Hadach Chamsa. It's like Chamsa, right? Chamsa is a city like that. Lomar El Kigon. It's like Chamsa, Kigon, such as Chamsa but Chamsa itself is actually a bad example, or maybe it's a good example, but it's not technically correct, because Chamsa itself has a wall from the days of Yehoshua ben Nun. Now, it's not clear from the Gemara what Chamsa was adjacent to. I would say, if I had to guess, and I don't see that I have any notes here otherwise. So that I would say that it's probably near Tveria, because most of the Tanoim, most of the Yerushalmi is written in Tveria. So therefore, Chamsa, I assume, was, and perhaps just to bring in some Haskalah perspective, right? Oh, the article does say Tveria. It does say Tveria. Thank you, Ron. But just to bring in some Haskalah perspective. Chamsa, I don't know if it's probably has to do with hot baths, because the hot bouts of Tveria are near the town of Tveria. So Chamsa, I assume, is the area or the town where you had the hot baths adjacent to Tveria. So in any event, but Chamsa itself, the Yerushalmi says, not a good example. Why? Because Chamsa how we know it had a war for this Yerushalmi from the following. It says, the fortified towns, and this is passed from Yeshua, of course, Hatzadim, which belonged to the Sidonites, Tsar, the Hamas, the Rekes, the Kineres, right? So Hatzadim, the Gemara says, actually is, even though it sounds like it belongs to the Sidonites, but no, the Yerushalmi says Hatzadim is Kfar Chitaya. It's specifically the town of Chitaya. Tsar is the Smichola. Tsar is near it. Hamas is Chamsa, which is mentioned. Rekes is Tveria. Kineres is Ginosar. These are all towns in the same area, the same general area around the Kinneret in the north of Israel. So now the Gemara says, "Hey, Rabbi Levi asked, Foxy, Vaharava ad Yoma Kineres." So the Pnei Moshe says, the Korban Eidah says, last Korban Eidah on the page, Foxy Vaharava, the Zem Migvul Eretz Yichon, Kineres Yom Migvul Eretz Naftali Shem Eretz Yisrael. So it seems to be a discrepancy here because it says the Rav ad Yoma Kineres is in the land of Sichon. And yet we say at the same time, Kinneret is from the Gvul of Eretz Yisrael, which is Naphtali. Where is Kinneret? Is Kinneret in the land of Sichon, or is Kinneret in the land of Naphtali? So, Me'at, turning the page, at least in the Vilna, Me'ata Shnei Ginusarios. So you have to say that there are two Ginusarios, and we don't know of such a thing. Now, we have the beginning of Maseches Gittin, that there are two Rechems. There are lots of cities which have similar names, but evidently they lived in that area and they knew there weren't two cities of that name there, right? Oloyu elishte avtonios, or maybe they were two large cities, or rather, I should say, two large districts in a large large city. Konyach v'tzibarie, such as Yerech and Sinbarie, which are Migdolos Kinarim, that are, I guess, the towers of the place called Kinneret or Kinarim, whatever it is. So the point is that it's according to the name of the Korban Eidah, it says, there was a bridge between them. Go from one to the other, go Beis Yer and Sinbarie, and they are both the towers of Kinarim. Okay, and Tonius, like I said, it's like a city which has various different districts. Okay, and it says the Gemara further, new scenario. The city got destroyed. And it became now the city of non-Jews. In other words, there are no longer any Jews living there, right? Chorab doesn't necessarily mean literally Chorban, but the Jews left the town. So, Isachamei. So, what are we going to do in this case? Now, the city itself, we're talking about really a samuchlo. Let's talk about the city itself. Obviously, no Jews, so nobody's asking us a Shiloh what to do in the town. But the question is the cities which are adjacent to it. What's their status, right? Yerushalmi is a paradox. Bo ain't occurring in that city. They're not reading anymore. The chutza occurring. Outside that city, they're still going to read, meaning this halach of somuch v'nireh can apply to adjacent to a city where there are no longer any Jews, which we know has a war for this Yerushalmi, yes, but it can apply to such a city. So says Gemara, Chizkiah Karle Bar Basar Ubetes Vabo Chashash V'Hidetani Rabbi Shimon Yochai. Now this is not an answer. This is a new thing, really. We don't have an answer for that. We leave it. There's many times it happens to Yerushalmi that way, that we have a question, we ask the question, and we leave it. We go on to the next topic. So he's saying a separate thing. He's saying, what is the status of Tveria itself? So Chizkiah would read the Megillah on both the 14th and the 15th in Tveria. Why? Chashish l'hi Tana Rav Shimon Chai. He took into account that which Rav Shimon Chai said, the Ishkim Korn Beis Moshav Ir Choma, somebody who sells a city which is a house in a walled city, Prat Litveria Shayam Chomola. Tveria certainly had a wall from the Ezra Shabbat. So it's in the pasuk we saw. But it could be that the wall, yes, it's on 3 sides, but you have to have a wall on 4 sides in order to be Ir HaMukefes Choma, a city which is surrounded by a wall. And therefore, Tveria, according to Shimon Bar Yochai, doesn't have the status of an Ir Choma, a city which has a wall, in terms of the halacha of selling a house in a walled city. Selling a house in a walled city, the halacha is that once you sell the house, you have a year to redeem it. If you don't redeem it in the first year, that's it. You never get it back again. There's no Yoba. Yoba doesn't apply to houses in cities. So the question is, does that apply to Tveria? Is that considered to be a walled city? Because it only has walls on 3 sides, not on the 4 sides. So on this, Rabbi Shimon Chai said, no, it's not a walled city for that purpose, and therefore, Chizkiah was misdoubt what the story is of Tveria in terms of Purim. Okay? So, Rabbi Yochanan, Karile B'Knishta